My name is Dave Arian, and I've been working on the waterfront since 1965, first as a casual, and I've got my 40 years in now. Well, the realities are the world economy dictates that transportation has become critical to the economy of the world, and particularly to the U.S. economy. We sit in a strategic position and therefore have power that no other union in America has. And so it's up to use that power very wisely, but to use that power to maintain what we have. Other unions in auto, steel, and others are not in the same position. In the main, they can't export our jobs. In the main, they can't undermine the kind of work we do with a substitute workforce at this time. In the main, they can't go even to Mexico or somewhere else and be efficient and get the job done and maintain the economy, and in the interest of the economy. So things are different, and it's up to a union like ours to take advantage of that. Do we have any more rights than any other worker? No. Do we have any more power than any other worker? Yes. And that's what it's about, power.
It's a logjam of monumental proportions. 200 cargo ships carrying 500,000 containers stacked up like buoys out to sea.
All the major ports on the West Coast are shut down.
The crisis in our western ports is hurting the economy.
No settlement in sight to the labor dispute that is titled West Coast Ports.
People are wondering, when Mike Tyson was the king of the heavyweight division, how many opponents can these guys hold off?
I met with my son and my daughter, and I told them, this could be the one, and you know what your dad's going to do, and I just want to let you know how far I'm going to go.
Because it wasn't just about me. And it wasn't just about these healthy young people that you see at the hall getting a job every day. It was a bigger picture.
Earlier today, more than 1,000 dock workers marched through San Pedro.
Yeah, the critical question with when you're locked out or you're facing a strike situation is how will your membership respond? And you have to realize that probably 80% of our membership in Southern California had less than 5 years in the union. Probably 95% of our membership up and down the West Coast had never experienced a strike or any time off. So we had to prepare our membership through mass meetings and through rallies and through educational programs and through putting our people in a position where they understood what they were up against. And we had to do a lot of mass education. We had to teach them the role of the Bush administration. We had to teach them a little bit about what capitalism was all about. We had to teach them about capital and labor. A lot of times when you're making a bunch of money and you can buy any house you want to buy, you don't understand the question of the class struggle. You've lost that. So during the 2002 lockout, we were able to do more mass education than we have done in the last 30 years. People began to understand that no matter how much money they made, they're nothing but a working stiff, just a working class guy. No matter where they lived, how many big cars they had, how much money they had, it didn't matter. They didn't have the power.
Business owners say if some kind of agreement isn't reached soon, President Bush should step in.
And basically all we were asking from D.C. is just stay out of it.
We wanted the natural process to take place. What we certainly didn't want is to have national labor policy eroded by undue pressure from the White House.
They had a history of being able to work their differences out.
Somebody makes a threat like that, well, I know where you live and I know what your wife's name is. If somebody said that in a bar, I'd probably get a little upset, but being a government official, they're just trying to scare us.
I was mobbed by members of Congress, many of them Democrats, saying we have to do something, we have to have federal intervention, we have to do this. And I just looked calmly at them and said, these are mostly foreign entities that have locked out the American workers. You can't let them win.
It is hurting the security of our country. And the federal government must act.
Well, I think the most important thing is that, when I grew up in the political movement, there was this ideology and there was some dogma that believed, that there was this worldwide working class movement that had the ability to overthrow worldwide capital. And, the victory in the Soviet Union, the victory in a number of other countries indicated that there was a change taking place in the world that was significant. The only problem was The working class and the world economy wasn't ready for that. It is today. There is a one world capitalist system. And they're on one side, and the workers and the unemployed and the people struggling are on the other side. There's two classes of people. There's a worldwide singular capitalist system today, and on the other hand, there's a worldwide movement of workers, indigenous people, people that are struggling against world capital and globalism. That didn't exist in 1930. That didn't exist with the Soviet Revolution. It does exist today. The capitalists have created a centralized system of production and distribution. The problem with it is the rest of us and the rest of the world is not getting their share.
Things are changing, and they're not always for the best. We're in a time right now where it's a corporate time, and it's very frightening for me, very frightening. It's a very serious, hard time right now, and I thank God that I am in the union. Oh my God.
Well, you know, I think the most important thing as workers that we have to understand is that as the economy shifts and worldwide they're forcing the wages and conditions of workers into poverty, that the same thing is going to happen with us. And that we can't be isolated, that we have to be connected to the struggles throughout the world and throughout this country. And when that call's made internationally and nationally, there'll be hundreds of thousands of people in San Pedro and Wilmington and San Francisco and up and down the West Coast in defense, you know, of an American treasure, the ILWU, in defense of the American middle class, in defense of a working class organization that has progressive principles for all of America.
We're fighting the same fight in Europe as the ILWU on the US West Coast. And it's against those fierce attacks on dock workers' rights and circumstances in the ports.
Dockers around the world, more than any other time, have to come together. It's in solidarity of world solidarity of dockers that we stand here today to let you know that your struggle is our struggle. What happens to you happens to us, the ILWU.
En el futuro, bueno, el futuro es nuestro. Hoy viendo la comunión entre organizaciones, esto es imparable. Esto es, creo que es un coche sin frenos en una bajada, no en una pendiente. Esto, lo importante y lo imprescindible es que los responsables sepamos conducir ese coche, que yo estoy convencido va a bajar a gran velocidad.
And with that will come the basis of a social change and a new president and a new Democratic Party and a new political system that isn't afraid to talk about the interests of the working class against the capitalist class. So that's what I'm heading for, you know, and I'm hoping that that's what happens. And if that happens, we will have made our contribution, because it's not just going to be about a contract anymore. It's going to be about the survival of the American working class and the working class throughout the world. That's what it's going to be about. I never thought, you know, because I've studied, you know, political science and economics all my life, and they always used to say, you know, that the revolution's going to come from the people that are most oppressed, down, and willing to fight back. So I always wrote myself off, and I wrote the union off because we're too well paid. But sometimes an organization finds itself in a strategic economic position that can make a contribution, and we sit there. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I have begun to realize that. Before that, I said, well, you know, I need to go work in somewhere else, you know, where I can make a contribution, where workers will rise up and rebel because of their economic and political condition. And after 2002, I realized that I'm positioned exactly where we need to be positioned. Would I be a different person? Yeah, I'd be in jail or dead, yeah. I'd be a different person. The ILWU, on the one hand, has allowed me to have political views that are not mainstream, and the luxury of expressing those views and making a good living. If I wasn't in this union, there's very few jobs that I'd be able to keep. you know, and my political views and the things that I've always fought for in life would isolate me in our society. And like I say, either put me in jail or I wouldn't be sitting here and being a grandfather today, you know. So, yeah, this union's done a lot for me.